It's time for another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas, the podcast covering the intersection of business, culture, entrepreneurship, and life in general here in the Ozarks. Whether you are considering a move to this area or trying to learn more about the place you call home, we've got something special for you. Here's our host, Randy Wilburn.
Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. I'm your host, Randy Wilburn. I'm excited to be with you today, as I always am, but even more so today because I like to eat. And I think some of you have seen that. If you see a picture of me, if you see me out in person, you know I like to eat. Make no mistake of it, but I like to eat really good food. And it's one of the reasons why I have today's current guests with me. And these folks, I have been tracking them down like a bloodhound for some time now. And we finally got our act together, both of us. We got our schedules together, and the timing couldn't have been better for me to have the great folks from Bite NWA here on the podcast to talk about their program. If you've been under a rock somewhere, Bite NWA is probably one of the best opportunities. It is a world-class food festival and one of the best ways for you to really get a taste of all that is good from a culinary perspective here in Northwest Arkansas. And so without further ado, I want to welcome Lakyn Moren, who is the event coordinator for both the LPGA program here up in Rogers, as well as Bite NWA, and Annye DeGrand-Fox, who is the event director of both the LPGA program and Bite NWA. Ladies, welcome to the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So listen, for the uninitiated, and we do have a lot of people that are listening to this podcast that are not from the area, or maybe they've just recently moved here and they don't know anything about Bite NWA. But for those in the back of the room, why don't you just give us a quick superhero origin story of Bite NWA and how did it come about to begin with?
Yeah, well, actually, I honestly think people who know Bite and have attended Bite probably don't even know the origin story sometimes. So the event was born in 2015, which, gosh, feels like a long time ago at this point, but it was born out of the LPGA event. So the Northwest Arkansas Championship started back in 2007 as really just a golf tournament here in Northwest Arkansas at Pinnacle Country Club every year. And over the years, the event sort of evolved and grew to become a lot more than just golf. Now we host something like 40 ancillary events throughout the week for the entire community. And part of that is not everybody loves golf, but most people, as you mentioned, do love food. And so that was really how Bite got started. It's just out of the idea that we wanted to offer more for the entire community. 2015, it started as the Northwest Arkansas Food Festival. It was a 2-night event held at the Walmart Amp, actually, right when that had opened. Hosted it there a couple years, then moved to 8th Street Market in Bentonville. Expanded it to 3 nights, and then COVID happened, as we all know. And then So the last couple of years has looked a little bit different, but this year we were excited to expand to kind of even more than just those events during LPGA week.
Yeah. No, I remember the Bite event at the 8th Street Market. I remember one year that you had, I think it might have been 2019. It was so hot out there, but it was so much fun. It was just like the most supremely hot weekend ever, yes. But the food was great. I mean, there were so many food trucks out there, and there was just a little bit of everything. And I had a hard time just keeping track of all that I was putting in my mouth in terms of just where did this come from and where is this from? And so, no, I really enjoyed it. And if anybody listening to my podcast is a foodie, which I know there are several of you, you guys would benefit from participating in this Bite program. So, but, it's more than, you mentioned a couple of things, and I know that it's more than just the golf and it's more than just the food. You guys have also made it part of, you've made this program a very missional program where there is a real mission behind all of the activity and all the programs that you guys do. Would you, as I look through the numbers here, $4.8 million donated to local organizations, 40 ancillary community events. And this is all of the outgrowth of this Northwest Arkansas Championship. 75 plus corporate sponsors. You get almost 8,000 plus people volunteering for this program. There are 20 plus charity partners, 144 of the best female golfers in the world that come and descend upon Northwest Arkansas for a great weekend of golf. And, this is now over 16 years of celebration. How were you guys able to kind of bring all of this together into what has become really one cohesive program where you have golf and food in one fell swoop?
Well, it's kind of like a snowball. It starts out really small, or it started really small, and every year it seems to just grow a little bit more and more. But no, honestly, I think I always say this, and it sounds a little cheesy, but I really think it's a testament to the community of Northwest Arkansas. Literally nothing that we do would happen without the support of so many different people. You mentioned our volunteers, our corporate partners, charitable organizations. Like, none of this would happen without people really getting on board and wanting to get engaged. And honestly, that's 100% why I think Lakyn and I like doing what we get to do, is because you get to meet so many different people from the community, and everybody is just so supportive and willing to help. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
no, it definitely does. It does. I get it. So, and I think that's it's what you just said a couple seconds ago about the fact that everybody in Northwest Arkansas just likes to come together. People that are from here, and those that are like transplants like myself. I don't know how long you guys have been in the area, but I've been here since 2014. So going on eight years. And I still can't believe it myself, but I wouldn't live any other place right now. And that's just how I feel very strongly about that. And I tell people all the time that want to relocate here when they ask, well, what's it like? What are people really like? And I'm not really sure about Arkansas. I'm like, listen, I don't know what's in the water up here, but folks just tend to be different. Am I right though? I mean, am I saying this? I mean, that's not hyperbole. It's just the way people are. And again, your organization and the program that you guys put on captures the essence of that. And I love the way that you guys have tied this into several of the local nonprofits, including the Northwest Arkansas Food Bank. And so I'd love for you just to kind of talk about how you guys have kind of bridged that gap and have really made it make sense and benefit the whole community, not just the people that physically go to the golf course and watch the women play, or not just those that are able to go to the Bite NWA event there at the Pinnacle course during that weekend.
Yeah. So, I mean, the food bank is a great example. They've been engaged since the very beginning. Their team started with Kent Eikenberry all the way down, has always been super supportive and willing to help out. I think, their partnership began where they came out and they helped staff the concessions stand at the tournament. And then we started this food festival event, and we knew that when we started it, it needed to be for good. Like, we weren't just going to host an event just to host an event. And so we have partnered with them, I think, to donate both cash and products, which is always helpful. But then also the Brightwater. Do you want to talk a little bit about what we do with Brightwater?
Yeah, and I'm not extremely familiar, other than you may want to talk more on that, honestly, than me.
So with Brightwater, we have partnered with them to do a scholarship every year for their students. It's a Bite Northwest Arkansas scholarship. We're able to basically pay for 2 semesters worth of school with the scholarship. It's one of the few of its kind with Brightwater, which we're really proud of. And then beyond that, the students who get the scholarship come out and they actually work at Bite. They get to help support chefs and restaurants out there and kind of get a behind the scenes look and really on the job experience, I guess, as part of the event. And so that was born out of us hosting the event at 8th Street Market, being on site there. And again, it's just kind of making those partnerships, and really we want to be collaborative. It needs to be more than just us handing over a check. You know what I mean? We want it to be like very cohesive.
Yeah. And how many scholarships are you able to give with that? 1 or 2?
We give one every year to Brightwater students.
Okay, perfect.
So it pays for 2 semesters. Yeah.
Pays for 2 semesters. Okay, great. Well, I mean, that's helpful. I mean, Brightwater there are several outstanding folks that have learned their culinary skills and matriculated through the Brightwater program that are doing amazing jobs right now. So
truly.
So then how do you, I guess one of my big questions is, how do you choose the participants for the event? So how do you choose the restaurants?
The restaurants, honestly, it's just a mixture of us reaching out to them. Sometimes they reach out to us. You mentioned our events in downtown Rogers and the one we had planned for the Jones Center. we were a lot more intentional with the restaurants that were engaged in those events. And so for the July event, we actually had a great partnership with Black-owned NWA, and they made a lot of great introductions for us, and we've met some really, really cool,
super fun people,
restaurant owners that we would have probably otherwise never gotten connected to, because there are a lot of smaller restaurants, and so that's been really special.
Well, that was the whole intention of that, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's just the exposure. I know I heard some people talking about, I'd never heard of Chicken Heads, which is shout out to them. If you like wings, they are down on MLK. And a lot of people were like, oh my God, I never heard of these guys, but their wings are amazing. And so there's a lot of little places like that. I always think of people like Keith Kidd, KDK's Chicken and Waffles, which are really, really good. I mean, there's just a lot of folks out there that are like unsung heroes in the culinary space that a lot of people aren't aware of, but folks in the know. But what you guys are doing is bridging that gap because of the way that you connect with the community, and you're able to kind of bring that connection and that communication piece to some of these lesser known entities and giving them the kind of brand exposure that, money can't buy.
Well, and I think one thing I always love to share is that people sometimes don't realize is that we do give the restaurants a stipend to be out there, and we want them, we want it to be an easy yes for them. We don't want it to be a strain on their business. We want them to be able to come out and see that benefit, like the marketing aspects of getting their name out there in front of a very rapt audience, I guess you could say, people who are foodies, people who want to know. And so that's really fun as well. So in Northwest Arkansas, we've already talked about this, but I feel like this community wants to support local, whether it's restaurants or boutiques or any kind of small mom and pop shop. So all we're doing is trying to really showcase that and say, hey, there's even more than what you already know. And there's way more people to support. And I mean, even myself, I was walking around at Bite, running around with their head cut off, but you're running around, you're like, oh my gosh, I also didn't know about this restaurant. And the line is wrapped around, and it's really special to see that, because this community is so great about just continuing to support local, and it just really heightens that.
Yeah, no, well, that's awesome. And I'm glad that you guys, decided to kind of bring in some additional theme partners to celebrate the diverse cultures that exist here in Northwest Arkansas. And so, again, you did the Black-owned businesses on July 29th down at Frisco Plaza in downtown Rogers. You were supposed to do an event on September 1st, which a lot of people were aware of. I told you my wife was volunteering that night. It was called Celebrating Hispanic Heritage. That actually had to be canceled because of the rain. And then it didn't rain. That was the crazy thing, right? It was it rained a little bit, because even my son thought he was going to, it came down hard and then it stopped. And then my son ended up still having soccer practice. And so, go figure. That's just kind of the way it is. But hopefully you guys you'll be able to maybe bring that back in the future and have an opportunity to do that, because I think the Jones Center is the perfect location for something like an event like that. So, Yeah, that's been one of the cool things too, outside of the restaurants, is we were hopeful for the Jones Center, but downtown Rogers, a lot of the attendees we had heard hadn't been down there to see all the incredible renovations. And so just showcasing these cool places in Northwest Arkansas that you don't always get to if they're not on your kind of path to and from work or to and from home. Yeah, no, without a doubt. Everybody knows Fayetteville Square. Everybody knows Bentonville Square. But now downtown Springdale is getting some love. And of course, what they're doing in Rogers is just simply, it's that whole plaza down there is really beautiful to hang out. And so I can see that there will be a lot of future events taking place there. So tell me, so the theme for this upcoming Bite NWA at the LPGA is celebrating Northwest Arkansas. Is there anything special that you guys plan to do this go around that you haven't done before, or anything new that you're featuring for the first time? I think it'll really just be a culmination of what those first two events were supposed to be. We wanted to be super intentional with those offshoot events and then kind of bring everything together at the Bite experience. It's a 3-day event. So you'll see a little mixture of some of the restaurants we had in downtown Rogers, some that were supposed to be at the Jones Center, but then some of our old kind of tried and true Bite partners, places like the OGs. Yes, exactly. The OGs. You'll see Chef Boyer Q out there. You'll see Madoko. You'll see Chicken Heads. We talked about them. So there will be a lot of good tasty treats. And the great thing is it's 3 days, and
every day will be different, basically.
And once you're in, it's unlimited,
Exactly.
which is killer. I don't think people realize that. I'm like, you're getting golf viewing deck, all this incredible golf going around. And then also just all these local partners where you can just come up, say, hey, I want to try a sample beverage, or I want to try whatever you've got at the vendor space. And it's all yours for the taking all day.
For the taking. All day.
Fun.
So that's the day to wear your loose and baggy pants and
stretchy pants.
So that you feel, stretchy pants so that you feel comfortable. What is the cost for the event?
It's $45 a ticket.
Okay.
So that gets you, again, golf viewing and then unlimited food and beverage sampling while you're in that. And then you also just get tournament grounds access. So if you want to walk around, feel free to do that. We've got public viewing decks throughout the course as well. And then if you're outside of the Bite experience, we have concessions on site as well, which is super cheap. We've got like $3 meals that people can buy. So if you're not super happy with all the vendors, maybe you want to go just try out the concessions, which odds are you'll be happy with everything you try there. But we do have that opportunity as well. So
the other fun thing, go ahead.
No, what were you going to say?
I was going to tease the P&G bags, which I don't know if you've ever been out to the tournament, but those are probably
I have not.
Something that we hear about all the time. But anybody with a ticket to the tournament gets a free P&G bag, and it's a backpack filled with about $100 worth of full-size product in it that you take home and get to keep, and it's like truly worth the price of admission.
Oh yeah, I mean, my entire year I live off of these bags. I mean, there's like the shaving cream, the fabric softeners, and I mean, it's incredible. You get a $10 ticket if you just go to the tournament, and then like you said, $100 worth of product. But it's incredible.
The P&G bag. So that's kind of like the bag that they give out at the Oscars, right?
Right.
Where,
exactly.
Where you get like, I think now those bags are like I think last year's Oscars, it was like $144,000 and a slap from Will Smith. So something wild. Like that. But it is crazy. But no, I mean, I think that's great. And that's another benefit that comes with being able to participate in this event. And you have 3 days options, right? So that, so the $45 is for a single day or for all three?
For one day, 11 to 5 each day.
Okay.
Tickets are
so you basically can pick and choose what day you want. It'll either be Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
Or Sunday, yeah. And like she just mentioned, tickets are pretty low for Bite Experience. They usually go, they're the first to sell out. Saturday is a hot commodity. So I will say, if you haven't gotten your tickets, we watch those pretty closely. So just hint, go ahead and get yours
before them soon.
2 weeks from now.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Yeah, we'll be in the throes of it in 2 weeks, and I know that as I was coordinating with you guys to get this together, you're putting out fires now, and I can only imagine the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes to pull off an event like this. So, with all of that in mind, how do you try to top this event each year? I mean, what extra special sauce do you try to add to it to make it even better?
We try, our whole thing is like, we just want to maintain a really, really great event. And so luckily we have partners who allow us to do that, but just trying to kind of continuing to like push the envelope a little further. So this year, we're doing some things from last year and just hoping to kind of never rest on our laurels, I guess. And you just kind of gotta, after the event, we'll take a step back and we'll say, okay, what worked, what didn't work, what do we need to tweak for next year? For example, last year, the Bite experience was 4 or 5 different locations all throughout the course that people got a ticket to that they could walk around. And we got very mixed reviews on that. Very honest. Honestly, some people loved it, some people didn't. So this year we're trying something new and it's all going to be in one location and we'll see how it goes. And hopefully everyone loves it. We can do it the same way, but just continue to elevate it. But we'll see, it's just, that's kind of the fun of our jobs, I think, is I've been doing this for 8 years now or something like that, which seems incredibly impossible.
But I'm a newbie. I'm like, this is like barely year 2 for me.
Yeah. So you just got to kind of keep making it as best as it can be every year.
But it's listening to the attendees though, which I think is the biggest piece. It's like, we're doing this for them. So whatever feedback they have for us, like we're taking that into account and just trying to play off of their feedback and make it better each year. Yeah.
Listen, I mean, you guys are certainly doing a good job at it. And it's one thing when I talk to people, everybody's like, have you gotten your tickets to Bite? I mean, people are always asking, and it is a big ticket. It's a big deal. And certainly you guys are doing a great job with it. And I'm glad that we finally got a chance to get you guys on the podcast to talk about the Bite NWA experience, because it really is an experience. And it's one that I certainly would encourage anyone listening to this podcast to take part in, to invest in it. And it's not that money is just going back into a hole. It's going back into the community in a multitude of ways, just like these ladies described. And so I would really encourage you to take part in this event, because it's one of those events where it's a feel good event. Well, your stomach's going to feel good, but you'll feel good just in general because you're participating in something that is making a difference in the community. And these guys have the foresight to create opportunities to collectively make sure that everybody in the community feels like they're a part of what Bite NWA is doing. So I really applaud you ladies for the hard work that you guys put on year in and year out to make this event a success. I also want to give a shout out to, because I believe you guys work with Food Loops on this, don't you?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Yes. You want to talk about that real quick? Because I think that's important.
Yes. So Food Loops, we've worked with them a few years now for Bite, where we obviously divert as much waste as we can from the landfill. Part of that is making sure there's not a ton of food waste. We really try and work with the restaurants to make sure we're doing true bite-sized samples. But this year, actually, we're really excited. We've embarked on a sustainability initiative for the tournament. And so we are working with Food Loops for the first time across the entire golf tournament, which is an incredibly large endeavor for them and for us. We're really excited. We will be diverting waste from the landfill, from food waste, and then recycling and all that good stuff with them. So really excited. They're an incredible company and really happy to support, again, another local company that's come out and doing good in our community. Yeah,
no, and I always love we've had Food Loops on the podcast a way back, but they've always done great things in the community. I think they've helped the Roots Festival get their waste down to like in the single digits in terms of the amount of waste that's actually created from the event, just because of the way things are set up. And I'm sure what you guys are doing is similar. And I mean, what's the total number of attendance that you're expecting this year?
We don't really formally track attendance. It's a tough thing. We can tell you for Bite, it'll be about 1,500 to 2,000 people a day. But for the tournament, it's a little tougher because it is in the neighborhood and people just sort of
congregate.
Come in.
I got
we
you.
can estimate in the thousands, but we don't have a good number. But there will be thousands of people out there. And so, we definitely want to do our part to make sure that we're keeping our footprint on the environment as low as possible. You can ride your bike to the tournament for the first time this year.
Yes, and get a free
I'm glad you mentioned
experience.
Yes.
So the folks at Bite POC, Apple and Kim C are doing a special bike ride on, I think, the 23rd, where they're riding their bikes down from the Sam's Club headquarters to the Bite location there in Rogers. And you also get a ticket to the Bite event and experience, and you get to do all of that and get some exercise. So that way you can burn some calories before you get there. You can eat and then burn some calories as you ride back. So I think that's really great. And I'm glad you mentioned that. So that's kind of a perfect segue. So any last minute pieces of information that you want to give our listeners in case somebody might need to know something of importance, or what's the best contact information for you guys?
Our websites are a great place to go to find kind of all of the information of everything going on. They are NWAChampionship.com and then BiteNWA.com, BiteNWA.com. Okay. But no, we'd love to, we're hoping that these Bite events keep growing and keep expanding all throughout Northwest Arkansas. So if anybody has any suggestions on places we should look to host them or restaurants that we should get involved with, we're all ears.
Yeah, I was going to say also just social media. Obviously, everyone's on Instagram and Facebook, and we are too. Same thing. NWA Championship is our Instagram handle, and Bite NWA is our Instagram handle for the food festival. So shoot us a DM. We're usually pretty quick to respond. Obviously, we're getting quite a bit of communication right now, but that's a really good place to look for any kind of FAQs. We'll give some helpful tips on what to wear out to the event. I know a lot of people aren't super familiar with golf tournaments, and I think they get a little nervous, like, oh no, what do I do? And it's just, again, very open to everyone. There is no formal attire. It's just come
no
out,
need to wear a tux to a golf event, please.
No, you'll see us in polos, but y'all don't have to do that.
Right. No, that's awesome. Yes. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, we will certainly put all of that information on our show notes, and we'll link to all of the appropriate pages on Bite NWA site, as well as the NWA Championship.com site, so that anybody listening to this can go back to IamNorthwestArkansas.com and get additional information about this upcoming event. So, but Lakyn and Annye, thank you guys so much for coming together. And see, I told you guys this would be worth it. I really appreciate you guys.
And thank you for being patient with us.
This is what I do. It's all good. And I appreciate you guys being a part of the I Am Northwest Arkansas community and sharing your story. And hopefully anybody that comes to the event this weekend, that weekend that's coming up, the 23rd, 24th, and 25th of September, if you see these guys and you heard about it first here on the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast, please let them know and thank them for all the hard work that they put into putting on such a tremendous event, because I think you will not be disappointed. So guys, thank you so much for joining us on the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast today.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Well, folks, that's another episode of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. To learn more about us or to read or download the show notes from today's episode, visit IamNorthwestArkansas.com. You can listen to this podcast and sign up for our free newsletter to keep up with us and all things NWA. Sign up today. You can also subscribe to the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast wherever you listen to it. And please consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Who knows? We might actually read your review on the air. And remember, our podcast comes out every Monday, rain or shine. I'm your host, Randy Wilburn, and we'll see you back here next week for another new episode of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. Peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. Check us out each and every week, available anywhere that great podcasts can be found. For show notes or more information on becoming a guest, visit IamNorthwestArkansas.com. We'll see you next week on I Am Northwest Arkansas.